right? Good afternoon. Appreciate you being here. And again, reviewing tape, getting back to work, healing up, all the good stuff, the stuff we usually talk about. So that being said, open to questions.
Obviously, first Florida State week for you. Just does it feel any different? I know you're trying to make every week the same. But
Well, I've had a few of these, right? As a player, as a graduate assistant, as a coach. So, I've always, when you play in this rivalry, you recognize, and especially during that time, that was always the best rivalry. And that's all you ever thought about in the offseason or whatnot. But, so as a coach, as a head coach, as a graduate assistant, you make sure that yourself and everyone else is focused on all the things that are important to making it the best that you could possibly make it. So process oriented the whole way.
What are some of your favorite memories? I mean, you played FSU 5 times, I think, or 10 times actually. I think about it.
A lot. No, it was always, it was always a date that was circled on the calendar by everybody. State of Florida nationally, because it just so happened the national title either for many years went through Tallahassee or through Coral Gables. And so the intensity, the level of play, the caliber of player on the field was always the highest. And so the memories of that, but that's this is now, obviously we're building and we're in a building stage. So I don't get stuck in nostalgia theater with our players and make sure that everything is focused on the 2022 team and doing everything we can to keep getting better and progressing.
Mario, when you're trying to build, you guys have been through a lot of adversity already. Injuries, all of it. You've been through a lot. Mm-hmm. How much has that helped as a building block? How much? Because if you're winning, you're not learning a lot. You've gone through some painful stuff already here. Have you seen that adversity almost becoming a tool in a way where it can help guys develop into what you want?
I think it always does. Every job except one job that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of has been a rebuild. They're all different, in different ways. Some teams that had sputtered, some teams that had really taken a downhill turn, some teams that had never got it going, some teams that were in brutal, stretches of APR and losses and all that stuff. So they've all been different, but processes are almost identical. I mean, hard work and doing things the right way and getting good people and getting talented people and self-starters and motivated people that can endure, that are tough, that grow and are capable of learning, transcends all, logistical and geographical lines. It works. So, I thought Saturday really showed that. One of those games where it's tough sledding on offense, right? We didn't do much on offense, but stayed with it, and at the end of each half, found a way to get on the board and take the game into overtime. So there's a lot to be said, a lot to be learned about something like that, and I think moments like that are invaluable for any team at any stage. And I thought we learned a few things about ourselves and some good things to build off of.
One quick follow on that. When you do have to basically win a game in the mud, which everything.
That was muddy.
It was.
Yeah.
Without rain, it was still muddy.
It was muddy. It was muddy.
Can a team turn almost off one of the, when a team knows it's capable of winning when very little is going according to plan? Can that be a springboard to get guys through the second half?
Always. There's several opportunities to attain a springboard, and when you come out with a victory in a game like that, absolutely. Especially when guys have to play that hadn't played. Especially when some of your better players didn't get to play. I think those things, they validate a lot of the stuff regarding hard work and culture and stuff of that nature. So, absolutely.
What were some of the things that you saw watching film on Jake, seeing kind of what he did well and what he may have made some mistakes on? I know he missed some deep throws, some issues there, but
he played with a lot of guts and he played hard, and his effort, his want to was there. He had some good moments and he had some not so good moments. First real start, right, as a quarterback here, and collectively as an offense, we could have performed better and executed better to make his job a little bit easier also. So we were out of sync in the passing game. The run game started to show some real positive signs and some loaded boxes. Henry ran really hard. The offensive line blocked well, and as Cooper played a really good game as a true freshman. Thought the tight ends did a really good job blocking, but there were opportunities to be had in the passing game. And we missed them. We missed our deep shots, and we missed them early. And we had connected on those in recent games. So I think Jake will improve upon that tremendously. He's a competitor. He works at it. So right back at it.
Coach, do you have an update on Tyler Van Dyke's status?
Improving, he's looking better and better every single day. So we enter this week with preparing him to play, with preparing Jake to play, and preparing Jakari to play. In our minds, all three have, I know for sure Jakari's going to play some. He gives us some things on offense, and he keeps getting better and better. It's a shame the one ball he threw wasn't a good one, because I think you're going to be able to see how talented he is and how well he can throw the ball. But as TBD continues to improve, we're very optimistic. Again, he looked great yesterday, looked great today. So we'll keep pushing that envelope, and we'll see where we're at come Friday, Saturday.
Coach, what is the status with Jalen Knighton and Wayman Steed? A couple guys we haven't seen.
Steed is hurt, and his injury is a little bit more significant. Jalen Knighton is healthy. He's doing good. Had a good week of practice. We expect him to have another good week of practice this week. He's a good player. He's done a lot of good things for this team. We've stuck with him through good times and bad times. Sometimes the ball was on the ground. Sometimes he ran hard. We don't hold that against anybody. He's a hard worker. He's going to get his touches. He's a good football player, and we look forward to having him have a great week.
What have you seen from FSU's offense? They're balanced, explosive.
Yeah, very explosive. They've certainly done a really good job over the last 3 years accumulating talent, getting explosive players on the perimeter. Also in their backfield, their offensive line, they've certainly done a really good job just increasing the size of their offensive line, their athleticism, their power up front. And their quarterback is playing at a really high level. They certainly present a lot of issues, week to week. They certainly game plan according to what they're seeing, and they've done a good job finding holes in opponent defenses and exposing those things. And they've made big plays, contested catches, broken tackles. They've performed at a high level.
Coach, how has Khalil Brantley really grown over the course of the season? I know he had that block on the 2-point conversion by Jake.
Yeah, he wanted the ball. He wanted that ball. Yesterday we made a really big deal of Khalil Brantley because, and we need to make a big deal of it today, because he's a guy that has really bought into working to be more physical and whatnot, and his presence was felt in the run game on Saturday, and he does a heck of a job, catching the football as well. So really glad to see him, take that next step. We're going to push him harder, see how far we could take him, but really glad he's on our football team.
Nes Cooper, how did he perform with his opportunity?
Performed well, right out in the high 80s. Big physical guy, high effort guy. He weighs in, I guess he's in the 350, 360 range. And a year ago, he really made the commitment to trimming his body down. He goes more towards the 400s. I mentioned his coaches before, Coach Cox, Coach LeBeau. Guys that I've known for a long time that have coached out there in the state of Alabama, and they had a strong belief in Inez, and introduced us to him and showed us his work ethic and how incredibly gifted he is for a big man. And since the day he's gotten here, he's worked hard. I thought he was going to be a defensive tackle, quite honestly, a nose tackle. And in his living room, he said, I want to play a right guard. So, Coach Alavea was upset, Coach Mirabal was happy, and we went from there and brought him here to Coral Gables. He performed extremely well, played with a high motor, really didn't have any mental mistakes, off on some things technically, but sky's the limit for Nes Cooper.
In terms of his size, is this really more of the ideal of what you see as an offensive lineman, guys that are that big and athletic the way that he is?
Well, we take him in all shapes and sizes. They're all different. He's more similar to what we've had over the last several years. We've had really good offensive lines in our stops. Guys that are Outland Trophy winners and Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines. And some of those pieces require massive size or whatnot, but not all of them. We've played with particularly at the center position. We've played with centers that are a little bit leaner and more athletic, that still have power and are capable of doing all the things that big guys can do. So in some aspects, yes, but you like to have guys that can do a lot of different things. If you could draw it up perfectly, you like to have guys that could play at all 5 positions, and then a couple guys that could really star at the tackle position.
All right, Leonard Taylor, obviously, he had a great game Saturday. He's played really well lately. You're a former offensive line, and going against a defensive tackle like that, what does he do that's so disruptive?
Well, I think 3 weeks ago, just sitting down with him, things changed. A true commitment to nutrition, getting his weight up, lifting, practice, more film, understanding the defense and working your assignments. His plays were made by executing technique, fundamentals, assignment. I mean, he had a massive game. That to me, Saturday was an indication of what Leonard Taylor is to be going forward. You know, he's another one where sky's the limit. You know, and then we're talking about one guy's a freshman and that's Cooper, another guy's a sophomore on defense. So these are really, really good young players. But again, I can't speak highly enough about Leonard Taylor's performance on Saturday.
How about Al Blades? He stepped up in a bigger role, and is there a status update on James Williams?
James is doing well. He's healthy, seems to be ready to go. No issues. But back to Al Blades, even more importantly, because he played this game and Al did a great job. He certainly did. Was on point, you know, mentally. As a defense overall, those guys communicated well together. Al was a big reason for that as well. Everybody's really proud of him, you know, and really encouraged and fired up about his play because he really did do a really, really good job stepping in for James.
How do you, I know you said earlier that you're not really a nostalgia guy and you kind of never have been. You know what this week's about, you know what the storylines will be. It's always about the history, the past, the kicks, all the blah, 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 you go on and down the list. How do you insulate the kids from it? How do you tell the kids this is a week where you really need to block out noise?
Oh, yeah, I don't think he ever can do that, you know. You like to, and I know everyone goes up to the microphone, they say, hey, we got to block it. You can't block it all out. I mean, you sign up to certain schools to play in certain games, and this is certainly one of them. Just got to make sure that you pour out of the emotional side and pour in a passion for the game, passion for this particular game, passion for playing as good as you can play. Because that's a stronger source of, I would say, energy. You know, a stronger source of performance enhancement to be able to just pour into your love for the game, your love for playing in this particular game, your love for your teammates or whatnot. But in terms of the stuff that goes around it, you just, you know what you do, you go to work and you go right back to technique, you go right back to fundamentals, you go right back to film study. You start putting it on each and every player to hold each other accountable, do the right things, getting good habits, man, you know? So much of this stuff is about being able to, unfortunately, forego some of the things that surround being a young man and get more serious about this craft, right? Because every single year guys get bigger, stronger, schemes get more difficult, you know, intelligence and good choices and decisions play a bigger role in how teams perform when the season starts and as it goes on and it gets difficult. And all those things are things that are emphasized, that we're growing and learning from. So it's, as long as you point to those things, what are they? They're the facts. Point to the facts, right? And I think everything else should follow.
I know it's never as simple as it looks, but you guys go from like 17 penalties 1 week to obviously a much more manageable number. You go from eight balls on the ground to none.
Mm-hmm.
Things can turn pretty quickly. What is it about this group that when you make corrections, look, I know that problems do come up, of course, but you guys have been able to clean up a lot of things quickly at times. Is there something about this group? Is it a smart group? Is it a group that is starting to understand what you want more and more?
It's a really good group of guys. We have a really good core, and we're learning, and we're growing, you know? And sometimes, and I said the entire organization, sometimes we're just damn stubborn, you know? Sometimes we don't, all of us, and that's me included, we prevent ourselves from taking that next step with mistakes that we impose upon ourselves. But so much of this game is between the ears, so much of it, you know? And as we continue to develop talent and infuse talent into the program, there's certain things that you must avoid to give yourself a chance to play. Saturday, okay? Not pretty on offense, but like you mentioned, you didn't turn the ball over. You didn't have penalties. You know, you could roll the dice on 4th and 2, but you know what? The previous couple of weeks we rolled the dice and we put our defense in tough position and we looked deflated. You know, so hey, let's play to the strength of our team and let's see what it looks like. And next thing you know, you're playing field position and you give yourself a chance and you go. So we're learning and growing. We're learning and growing, and I do think that that this team, we got a lot of good guys that are really working hard, and some good leadership is forming. It's starting, you know, things are popping up. They're like, you know, all right, that's what we need to get more of. Okay, so very, very encouraged by that, and you know, that's the kind of stuff that fires me up. I'm very process oriented. As I mentioned, I'm very boring. I'm like right to the work part to make sure that all the pieces can be in place to give us our best chance.
Mario, you'll have a lot more, obviously, fans at this game. I mean, this is the game for fans. Is that important to you at all, or how important to the players? How does it affect the complexion of the game, does it?
Well, I think for the players it always does. I come from a different day and age. I mean, back then you play in the Walmart parking lot in front of nobody. Because you love to play the game. But that's not what's important to me is not what's important. What's important to the players is what's most important. And our fans we got really good fans. And typically this game brings out, a lot of people. And I think it's an awesome experience for our players to get a good feel for what, a Miami football game, really looks like.
Mario, outside of the execution on offense, just curious about the actual play calling and your opinion of how you guys have sort of called games through all the injuries and everything you had to deal with.
Well, you always try to make things work, right? You game plan as such to give yourself the best chance, to win. And I think if you look at that room, every single coach at every single stop has had very high success rates, from the Bros Award to top 10 offenses to, you name it, right? So that doesn't change overnight, right? You may not get the results you want, but certainly it's a matter of combining all those things that can work and then fit them to where we are personnel-wise, whether it be an injury, whether it be a deficit at a particular position. But I think the tape tells the whole story. We've got to continue to find ways to move the ball and find ways to score when we can, and when those opportunities are there, you got to make it work. And you've got to continue to develop. You've got to continue to develop players. Players got to continue to develop. We've got to get tougher, and we've got to get more aggressive in our approach to our preparation. When it gets tough and you get dinged up, you got to suck it up and you got to go. And we got to keep bringing talent to the program. So I think it's I always shoot straight, man. Don't pull any punches. So.
Unrelated. How much? A lot of college football stadiums are old, and locker rooms are pretty close together. Tunnels are sometimes shared. How much do coaches fear an event like what happened at Michigan State? Like sometimes
Man, it's unfortunate. I was here, in 89 with Catholics versus convicts, right? I've been through a couple of those, really nasty events, and we had some that were, there wasn't social media back then, so it's not covered as such. So you just never, it's just not part of the game, man. It's just not, we talk about it all the time because, football is a physical, sometimes violent sport, super high energy right through the roof. Emotions, passion, like boom, right? But you want to go and dominate someone, and people will say, "Yeah, kick their bucket." You want to always be able to do it in a football manner, and leave it football-wise, and never let that spill outside. And look, and those are good coaches. I know those guys. That's never once been preached in any meeting they've ever had. It just sometimes things get out of control, and you wish that would never happen. You hope that those kind of things never happen to any program. Makes sense? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.